Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Thank you so much, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. A lot of you guys enjoyed my decentering men video for single women, and I wanted to do a video that kind of was a continuation of that video by discussing what it's like to empower yourself as a single woman and navigating intimacy. I think that it's definitely a taboo subject, and as someone who is in my late 20s and considers myself to be a pretty passionate and intimate person, I wanted to kind of discuss today how you can empower yourself to not only find joy and happiness within, but to find other ways to give yourself the intimacy and love that you are yearning for in partnership. I think that a lot of the times when we are yearning and wanting and desiring a partner, we can get into relationships with people where we settle down or just don't really want to be with this person fully, just for the pure fact that we miss having intimacy, having somebody to lay next to, having someone in our lives to give us the physical and emotional connection that we so badly want. But what if I told you that there is a way to give all of that to yourself so that you can become not only the best partner to your dream person, but also to get to know yourself better on a deeper level? I have a lot of notes that I'm going to be reading from today on today's subject because I want to make sure that I cover everything. But this is going to help you learn to find love in healthy ways. You will vocalize your desires more in romantic relationships, be able to really find the beauty in being single and singlehood as a whole. You no longer feel lost or afraid when somebody leaves you because you were able to pour into yourself in such a way during this time that allows you to enjoy someone's company but not necessarily need it. I know for me that when I started to address my intimacy issues and what it was about that was making me feel very tense and uncomfortable, I think that it had a lot to do with my past. It had a lot to do with discussing the male gaze. It had a lot to do with trauma and what we are conditioned to learn as young women. And I'm hoping that this can feel like a safe space for women to really just let their hair down, enjoy the topic at hand, and maybe learn something. I am still learning as a whole. I am not an expert. I am not an intimacy coach. I am not a sexual guru. But what I am is a woman navigating her 20s in singleness in a way where I feel completely fulfilled and in absolute awe and love with my body and with myself. So that is something that's a work in progress, but I really feel that immense love already, and I want to share it with you guys today. Also, thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video, and give this video a big thumbs up if you like topics like this, and subscribe for more videos like it. All right, guys, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, let's talk about today's sponsor, which is BetterHelp. I think there's no better sponsor for today's topic than this, because I did discuss in today's video that I think that a great way to get to know yourself on an intimate level more is through therapy, and this is the perfect way to start. BetterHelp is an amazing, amazing, amazing way to get yourself acclimated to therapy and to connect with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you unbiased advice. So the first thing you want to do to get started, if you don't know anything about BetterHelp, is you're going to go to my link, which is betterhelp.com/Haley, and you guys are going to answer a few questions so that BetterHelp can match you with the perfect therapist for you. And they're going to match you with a professional who has years of experience in whatever it is that you're struggling with. You'll be matched with a therapist usually within 48 hours, which is absolutely incredible. So you're going to be able to discuss whatever it is that you're going through pretty quickly. I think my favorite part about BetterHelp is that you can literally access therapy from your couch, from your kitchen, from your car, wherever it is, and you can either have a video chat, a phone call, or even messaging back and forth with your therapist to better gauge how you want to have the communication with them. They also tailor it to your lifestyle needs and to your work schedule, so you really don't have to wait in a pesky waiting room or deal with any unnecessary things that come with going out and actually pursuing therapy out of the home. So if you want to take charge of your life today and better get to know yourself and help yourself heal, grow, and evolve, then visit BetterHelp today. Again, my link is betterhelp.com/Haley. Thank you so much, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. And now let's get into the rest of today's topic. I also want to note that this video is not only specifically for single women. If you are a woman in a relationship, you can always fix these things in yourself, in your dynamic as well. And this is a great way to find yourself even deeper. So I wanted to say that. But let's get into the first thing that I want to discuss, which is to create a safe space for yourself, for your mind, body, and soul. So a great way to start creating this safe space is to start addressing the things that you have either buried or tried to avoid when it pertains to intimacy, passion, sex, and love. So what I wrote down for some of the things to kind of go over is your sex life fulfilling? What is it about your sex life that is fulfilling and isn't? And I think it's time to really address it. Do you care about your own pleasure? Is this important to you? And how can you please yourself in ways that are not necessarily sexual? There are ways to create that pleasurable experience in life, especially in singlehood, that gives us that beauty and ignites such a passion and desire within us. And we're going to kind of get into that later. Are you seeking validation, attention, or comfort in your sex life? This is also really huge. I think that this is something that should be discussed because while we are learning and unlearning in this phase in our life and in this chapter, I think a great time to really address these things is when you're single so that you can get into your next relationship in a healthy way. You want to make sure that you have an emotional and physical bond with someone that feels harmonious and respectful to your own boundaries and to your interests. So if you're someone who is seeking validation, attention, and comfort in these particular instances, maybe it's time to figure out why. Maybe it's time to figure out what you can do to maybe fix that or enhance your life in some way. I know for me personally that I was always someone who wanted validation in the bedroom. I think it was an accumulation of being a perfectionist and someone who just really wanted to show that I can do something well, but it was also because I was so obsessed with the male gaze and what they thought of me, and I wasn't really in tune with my own pleasure. I didn't think it was important. What was causing me pleasure, and it was more of an emotional pleasure, was seeing somebody else go through pleasure, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful thing to love someone else feeling and receiving your love, but it is important that you don't put yours to the wayside, and that was something that I was doing for a really long time. So when I started to address my own issues and started to figure out, okay, what is it in my own intimate life that I can improve in singleness, it was me giving myself validation, attention, and comfort in other ways so that I wasn't seeking it in a partner in my next relationship. Do you have a false sense of bonding or closeness with someone during having intimacy? This was something that I had to address really early on when I was working on myself. And the answer was yes. I was creating a false sense of bond with people that I was sleeping with because I was not able to see things properly. I had rose-colored glasses on because sometimes for certain people, intimacy can make you have a different perception on someone and put them on a pedestal that they don't necessarily need to be on. So for me to have better experiences, I needed to take sex off the table when it was in a casual setting or when I was in the early stages of dating. I now tell myself that I'm abstinent until I have a boyfriend, and I want to make sure that I'm like that so that I don't have low vibrational experiences that give me a false sense of hope, especially since I am looking for marriage. Now, when you are in tune with your body, you need to figure out what it is that you are and are not okay with. Everybody's different. Some people are okay with having casual situations. Some people want exclusivity but not a relationship. Some people are looking specifically for a relationship, and some people want to wait till marriage. Whatever it is that you are going towards, I think is important that you honor that in your routines in life. So there is a beautiful way to empower yourself in your singlehood to have a better relationship with yourself through different intimacy practices. And the way that I personally have been doing it is through feminine hobbies. So a couple different things is obviously doing certain things with female friendships. That's just absolutely so beautiful for me. It makes me feel very feminine. It makes me feel creative. I feel very nurturing and I feel honored. I love, spending time with my animals and taking my dogs for walks, learning my body in this meantime, and encouraging myself to get better with time. Let go of the version of you who wanted to only appeal to the male gaze. It is time to really pour into yourself during this time and figure out who you are and what you like. You can figure that out. Learning your body is not something that should have shame around it. And how are you able to really tell someone what you like and what you don't like if you don't even know how to do it yourself? And that was something that I had to learn. So as someone who used to find myself to be pretty sexual and I was able to express myself sexually in certain ways, what I did struggle with a partner was I wasn't able to enjoy my pleasure outwardly. It was something that I would either suppress or I would kind of enjoy secretly or privately. So for instance, if somebody was doing something to me that I really liked, I wasn't necessarily loud and rambunctious about it. I kept it to myself because I was afraid of seeming vulnerable or actually enjoying myself, which is pretty odd. So now what I do in my singleness and in my abstinence is I like to look at myself in the mirror, give myself affirmations, and find the joy and beauty in that. I also like to try to find different ways to encourage different feminine habits habits in my life that make me feel beautiful, seen, and confident. I think that confidence is definitely something that is uncomfortable at first, but the more that you allow it to be a part of your life and you start working on it, the better that you can navigate intimacy, relationships, and honestly, the most important thing, which is a relationship with yourself. And again, what I said before was to let go of versions of yourself who wanted to appeal to the male gaze. Now, as a woman who obviously is into men and I am a heterosexual woman, I obviously want a man to find me attractive. I obviously want a man to be with me. But if it was the sole focus of my existence and the sole focus of my being, then where was I saving any of it for myself? Where was I allowing that feminine essence to really radiate? Where was I allowing myself to understand that my body is my temple? Where was it that I was allowing myself to truly enjoy my solitude and my peace? There was no part of that, because when I was so fixated on the male gaze, which was many years ago, but there were glimmers of it throughout the past couple years, I noticed that it had a lot to do with pleasing that person and going out and being sexy, and it was less about what I found attractive within myself. I was never trying to attract myself, I was trying to attract others. So I had to let go of that, and it has been such a beautiful and liberating experience, because although I still want someone to be with me and I still want to be someone who is liked by men, it is not the sole focus of my life, and it's definitely not something that I try to attract in my day-to-day practices. So that is not my thing. You need to be honest with yourself about what hurts you and what satisfies you. This is also huge. Honesty is the best policy. You are taking radical responsibility with yourself and making sure that you say, I need to be honest with myself as to what my boundaries are, what I like, what I don't like, and how I can give it to myself during this time, and how I can start accepting those versions of myself. So that is huge. You have to also understand that there are going to be seasons of deep yearning, desire, and cravings, and navigating those feelings without shame. We are women. We have cycles, and there's different phases to our cycles. So when we're ovulating, we are the most sexual and wanting and desiring during that time. And it is important that you start cycle syncing and start understanding it more. I haven't even really been someone who is in tune with my ovulation or my periods or anything for many years. I just started being more in tune with it now, and it makes all the sense in the world. I actually have the Flow app on my phone. That would be an app that I would recommend for you guys if you want to get more in tune and in touch with yourself. I'm sure there's other things that you guys can do, but for me personally, I needed to understand my body more. There was a lot going on the inside, and I would always shame myself if I felt more intense one day and then felt nothing another day. But I realized that it all has to do with the cycles and being a woman. So you'll have different phases throughout the month, and that's going to be when you feel more intense or less intense feelings. So that's huge. And you also need to ditch the shame of your past. When we are growing into very beautiful, intellectual, wonderful beings, and we want to be a high value woman who really truly just values themselves more than anything, you need to understand that who you once were shaped you to this day. Regardless of the decisions that you made or the mistakes that you had, that is not something that you should carry a burden with in your future life. It's only going to stifle you more and make you even more weird within your body. I do not allow who I once was to shape who I am today in a way where it's negative. I allow it to shape me more in a way where it's positive and I'm able to use it in the future. So it makes me more discerning rather than angry, if that makes sense. So it was your defense mechanism a lot of the times. A lot of women were sexualized at a young age and had a difficult perception on sex and intimacy. It was always about the other person. I know for me that I went through childhood trauma and experienced a lot of, uncomfortable things very early on. I didn't have a fair chance in trying to navigate these things solo. It was put on me at a very young age. So when I started feeling a little bit more sexually liberated in my younger years, the truth was it was because I wanted to be in full control. I wanted to rewrite the story. So as someone who had it taken from me, I wanted to be the controller. Now I have healed that part of me. I allowed that to be a part of my past, and now I am someone who wants want something healthy, respectable, and harmonious for my life, something that aligns with who I am. Because although I am grateful that I experienced that controlling aspect of wanting to take back my power, it did not empower me long term. What has empowered me long term is respecting myself and my body, understanding that my sole purpose on this earth is not to procreate, is not to be in relationships, and is not to please other people. It is to be in my creative essence, to love myself, to be a part of the lives of those who I care deeply for, and to experience life for the first time. We are all going through life at this age for the very first time. It is important that we allow ourselves to freely move through that. So that is what's important to me. So it's time to release the shame around sex, intimacy, and your past mistakes. If you carry that with you, you are only going to have bad experiences. So if you're someone who either had a trauma experience as a child, or you had bad experiences in your teen years, or you have a lot of shame around how many people you've slept with, or how little, or how unexperienced or very experienced you are, it is important that you release that now. It is not important, because what is important is who you are today and how you can shape yourself into a better woman right this second. So we have the power to reinvent ourselves as many times as we want. And I know that that sounds kind of like, well, can you? Because you really are just someone who has a specific set of core values and morals. And I think that yes, we do have a core value and morality to us, but those things can be changed based off of environment, based off of knowledge, based off of becoming well-read and experienced in life. And the things that we go through actually do shape us into a different human. I once could think one thing, but let's just say I experienced that thought being challenged. I now no longer feel that way because it was challenged, and I was able to see the proof that how I once thought is no longer really what my reality is. Find what fuels you. Set a new standard because you're grown and different. I know for me that I always am setting a new standard for myself, and when it pertains to intimacy, there's a lot that goes into it. There's passion, there's drive, there's creativeness, there's nurturing, and there's ways that I pour into myself in my singleness that allow me to really feel all of those things. There's also ways that you can kind of give to your own love language by doing certain things. For instance, if your love language is physical touch, put on some lotion on your body, do a face mask, do different things with your hands, and give yourself that nurturing feeling. If you're someone who likes acts of service, do something nice for yourself. There are ways that you can actually give yourself your own love language in your single life, which I think is really important. So learn how to love by loving yourself first. Pouring into you will always be the best bet because your perception is your reality. Make your perception different by using manifestation, prayer, goal setting, and boundary setting. It is time for you to get very serious and granular as to what you want in this new life. How can you be more in tune with yourself? How can you have better relationships with people? How can you grow as an individual? How can you get more in touch with your spirituality? This is the time to do it. You have all the time in the world to think about it and how you can actually shape yourself into that person. When I started thinking about how I can love myself fully so that I can accept it from someone else, I started to pour into myself in every aspect possible. I started manifesting better experiences for myself. I started taking better care of my body, eating foods that made me feel good and allowed me to feel more comfortable in my skin. I prayed to God in moments when I did not have the answers, but I know that He would. I set goals and intentions for myself each month so that I can achieve something and give myself something to look forward to. And I also set boundaries, not only with myself, but with others. I set a particular standard for my life and how I hold myself, and I don't really care what other people think. For instance, if I choose to dress sexy because it makes me feel liberated and happy in my skin, the truth is I don't do this for the male gaze, and that is my truth. But let's just say, somebody misconstrues that as, oh, well, she's easy, or she can probably be someone who I can sleep with on the first date. The truth is this: you can only make your truth what you want it to be. So if that is not true, then it is not true. I don't care what people think because it's not what I do. So although somebody can have that perception or that idea about me, I prove it by literally proving it to myself that it's not true, or that it is true, depending on what it is. So having strong strong, healthy boundaries, goals, manifestations, and prayer, and you will be super grounded in all of this. I also think it's important to state when something no longer works for you. There's a lot of times in my life when I thought that a particular way of living and being intimate with someone or having certain relationships in my life maybe worked for me at one point, but they no longer do. That is okay, and you can state that and you can be open about that. And having that type of honesty with yourself and with others is going to create healthy boundaries. It's going to have people respect you a lot more, and you're going to be a person who is virtuous and exclusive, and that's kind of what you want to be anyways. I think that it's a really beautiful thing to embrace your newfound empowerment and support it by doing weekly check-ins. So ask yourself, did I pour into myself enough this week? Did I give myself the intimacy that I desire and want? If there's something that I'm craving or desiring, how can I give it to myself in a healthy way that is still within my boundaries and expectations for myself? So that is kind of what I do, being that I am abstinent until I'm in a relationship and I am, dating, but I am not exclusive with anyone at the moment. And I'm also trying to create a healthy life and balance for myself where I am balancing the art of working out, spending time with my dogs, working, spending time with my friends, and then also having a little bit of free time. I try to find ways to honor that and nurture that, which is important to me, and making sure that I stick to that by doing my weekly check-ins. I also think that pleasure is important. Ways to enhance this intimacy solo. And I'm not just talking about pleasuring yourself physically, but also just in your overall life. Remember, guys, there is something so beautiful about making love to your actual life, not just to your body. So a great way to pleasure yourself and enhance your intimate life is going on solo dates, dressing up for no reason at all, taking baths, reading novels and erotic books. Also, making yourself a charcuterie board. I love the feminine look of a charcuterie board. To me, it's just so beautiful. It's so orderly and it's sexy, in my opinion, to have a glass of wine, or if you're not drinking, a little mocktail and have a charcuterie and watch a movie. It's just chef's kiss, guys. Also, meditation, therapy, life coaching, yoga. These are all ways to pleasure yourself and have a more sense of intimacy by yourself. I am currently speaking to a life coach every week. It has done wonders for me. We are addressing so many different things about myself, and she sends me meditations every other day that I have to do, and it is allowing me to be more in touch with my body and to really just let go of the things that I always am obsessing over, because with meditation, there is so much releasing and nothingness, which I think is beautiful. I also want to mention that friendships heal this part of you. So if you're kind of struggling with intimacy in your life and you want to kind of figure out how you can fix it and address it, I think it's important to find good women in your life that are healing for you. They teach you the importance of love through platonic relationships and how it feels in comparison to romantic love. Romantic love and platonic love are two completely different feelings, but they both feel so beautiful. And what I love about platonic love and my friendship love is the feeling of allowing myself to let my hair down, be myself. I can be goofy, I can be assertive, I can be fun, I can be anything I want, and my friends still accept it. And I think a lot of people struggle to let that side out when they're around a romantic partner. So I have learned that I am able to be loved in a way where I am loved fully for who I am. I have the proof. So it actually heals a part of me being around friends, because it is going to be something that I can carry into my romantic dynamics. And if I feel like I cannot be my authentic self around my future partner, they are not my future partner. And I also kind of want to touch on male friendships. Although they are rare in my life, I have a few that healed me in a different way. I know for me personally that I always thought that male friendships were one-sided, or that a lot of women who had male friends just really didn't like women. So I was always someone who geared a lot of my life to being around other women. But I have organically met men who have just been an amazing healer for my actual heart, and I didn't even realize it or see it coming. I think for a long time, I always expressed that if I were to have a friend that was a male, that it would feel very sexual in nature, or that they would try to do something. But what I think is really beautiful about my male friendships is the respect that I am receiving. I feel that genuine care and masculine energy covering me in times of need when I'm yearning for partnership. I am not looking for my male friends to be a partner, but what I'm looking for is qualities that I look for in a man that I do want as a partner. So somebody who hears me, somebody who respects me, somebody who doesn't sexualize me, someone who appreciates me, and someone who gives me that really healthy masculine energy, someone who does acts of service and, different things that my male friends do that have really healed a part of me. I have a friend in particular who I really adore, and he has really opened up my aperture to this, and I feel very heard and seen and respected, and it's just a really beautiful thing to get to experience as a woman. I think a lot of women who got to experience a healthy two-parent household understand this feeling a little bit more, but as someone who had a blended family, a multicultural family, and also a family that kind of had strife and struggle towards the beginning of my life, I think that for me, I did not know that that was something that was present, and I didn't have a father guiding me and teaching me about my inherent worth and how to respect myself and how to be virtuous. I was not aware that it was something that I could ever receive. Being able to receive it in male friendships has been really wonderful and healing for me in certain ways, and I'm so grateful for that. And it allows me to also want that for my own children one day. I am reminding myself in this singleness to really be selective and choosy with whom I am with, who I choose for myself, because having a healthy dynamic with a person is all I want, not only for myself, but for my children. I always like to say to myself, try to live like a person who had a healthy two-parent household with a father who taught you love, honor, respect, and virtue. You can change your life with unlearning and relearning certain practices. And I know it's gonna take time, but understanding that in certain seasons of your life where you feel maybe lonely or upset or very interested and want to be desired, but you're not really receiving that at the moment, it is time to pour all of that into yourself during this time so that when you do receive it, you don't fall for the first Joe Schmo that gives it to you, and you don't settle because you want comfort and attention and validation. I know for me that the more that I am building my resilience in my single life and being able to pleasure myself, understand myself, respect myself, and see myself, I am not only learning about my own body, my own desires, my own being, but I'm able to actually put that into the air when it comes to dating and finding a partner for myself, because I want to make sure that we are on the same page and that I am heard, seen, and able to be my authentic self, which has really also helped me heal my anxious attachment style. So again, guys, I really think that this is going to be a great way for you to guide yourself, to love yourself harder, to respect yourself more, to create healthy boundaries, to understand yourself on an intimate level and a deeper level. There is nothing more beautiful than understanding yourself deeply and seeing yourself deeply. And it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes uncomfortability. But the more that you pour into yourself and you figure out what it is that you like and you don't like, the more that you're going to be able to go towards things that make you actually happy. I think it's really a disservice to women when they live lives that they don't truly want because they don't know that they exist. The truth is, it does exist. Your perception is your reality. If you change your perception, you will see things change for yourself. I once thought that all men were this and all experiences were that, and how, friendships were this. But when I changed my perception, I opened up my eyes to other things, and I started going towards things that felt different than that. I started seeing that that was just my perception. That was not reality. And I was able to change it and shift it with happiness, positivity, and a lot of effort. So I know you guys can as well. And knowing yourself and your body intimately is truly a beautiful gift. And I hope that you guys can all do it. This has been the groundwork that I have laid for myself to really honor my own body and my desires. I don't settle and I don't go towards things that don't feel like what it is that I want, because I know the outcome. And although I've made mistakes in my past and have not always fully honored myself, when I didn't do it, I knew exactly when it happened and I knew exactly how to change it and shift it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed making it. Now get to know yourself a little bit more intimately and pour into yourself in a way that you would want others to pour into you, and watch how your life will change for the better. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye everyone. Mwah.